Hey friends, welcome back to Supporting Physician Spouses. I'm Katie.
And I'm Kendra. We're so glad you're here for the beginning of a new series that we're calling the Predictability Problem Series. How to reclaim your rhythm when medicine runs the clock.
So if you've ever said, our calendar is held hostage by the call schedule, or I can't plan anything until we know the rotation, this series is for you.
As physician spouses, we live in a world where our routines are constantly shaped by medicine. But that doesn't mean we have to live in the chaos. Today we're going to be talking about how to design pockets of time that belong to you, tiny zones of choice and rhythm that rebuild your sense of agency.
Let's talk a little bit about why predictability matters. So when life feels unpredictable, our nervous systems stay in alert mode, waiting for the next change or disappointment. And that's not just exhausting, it's depleting.
And I'm absolutely positive that everyone listening to this podcast has experienced that combination of exhaustion and depletion. I know I certainly have. And there's actual science behind that. There are two psychologists, Edward Deci and Richard Ryan. They developed what's called the self-determination theory. And it says humans thrive when three needs are met: autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
Autonomy means that we have choice and we feel like we have choice. Competence means that we are capable, and relatedness means that we feel connected and understood with our current challenges. The problem is, medicine often steals all three of these at one point or another. We don't choose the schedule, we feel like we can't get on top of the chaos, and we feel disconnected because no one else perfectly understands what our life is like.
Yeah, and that is rough. But the beauty is that even small doses of autonomy can restore balance. You can't control the hospital schedule, the call schedule, the pager going off, but you can decide what still belongs to you.
Okay, so let's talk through some examples. Kendra and I have been brainstorming what are some in our life. I know if you're like us, maybe you're coming off of fall break right now, and so getting back into a school schedule can feel really anchoring. One woman in our community, let's call her Megan, she has started something called Walk Wednesday during residency, where she takes her kids on a trail and they walk for 1 hour, whether her spouse is able to join or not. So she has that anchor in her life. Maybe it's going to the gym at a certain time. Maybe it's meeting a friend for lunch. Maybe you attend a monthly book club. Church attendance, that's a really good block of time for me that is an anchor in my week. Or maybe it's calling family some time of the week, like on a Sunday.
And what all of these examples share is that we all have rituals in our life that can become an anchor for our family. And this isn't necessarily about control, it's about consistency. And it's reminding each of us that part of our life belongs to us. So in all of those things that you listed, Katie, like the walk or the gym or meeting with friends on lunch, the book club, the church attendance, calling the family on Sunday, all of these things were happening regardless of what the schedule was for that week, who was on call, who was post call, what kind of day they had, that these were things that really anchor people, especially physician spouses, into their own life. These things are non-negotiable. These things will happen regardless of what's going on outside.
Yeah, and maybe you're thinking, okay, it's easy to plan when my spouse isn't there, but then if you're like me, you're wondering, well, couldn't that lead us to living parallel lives? We will be sure to talk about the idea of having rhythms and rituals of reconnection too. Having your plan Bs and your plan A, because at some point we do still need to continue to live and live in a predictable way and reintegrate. It is tricky though. The balance is
Yeah.
tricky.
Oh, I'm not going to lie. It's incredibly tricky. This is one of those things that I would go back and tell myself in residency. If I could, I would tell myself to have these anchors and to honor those anchors and to not give them up. Because what I noticed happened a lot during that time is that if he was post call and happened to be home in the afternoon, I would cancel all of my plans. That I would just automatically by default just be like available to do whatever. And it's like, yes, I wanted to be with him, but at the same time, he was exhausted and tired and didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't really respecting what I needed, and it wasn't really respecting what he needed when I was just sitting around the house like, okay, tell me what we're going to do next. Like I almost made it his thing, like, okay, I've cleared my schedule. Now you tell me what you want us to do. I'm not going to lie, there was a little irritation there because it was
Yeah.
like, we've been waiting all day to see you, and now you're home and you're too tired and don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Having these rituals and these anchors help you honor that you have a life that is also important and meaningful to you, and these connections with other people, and to claim that autonomy for yourself. Because really what I did is I just threw away my autonomy and said, as soon as you show up, I'm just available for whatever. And I remember many times just sitting around going, we're not doing anything. We're not
Yeah.
doing anything.
Yeah. I love the reminder to hold these firm. I think sometimes I
Yeah.
start a really fun ritual and then I get out of the habit of it, whether it's just my own exhaustion or what, but just always remembering that, if you do slip on it, pick it back up. And if your spouse is there,
Yeah.
he can join, he can not join. I mean, obviously, we're not saying be strict and rigid, but there are times and seasons to not drop everything depending on what's available for your family at that time.
No, I totally agree. So let's give our listeners some framework that we use for designing around an unpredictable life. And so the first would be to choose a rhythm that's fully within your control. Something like, again, I don't want anyone to roll their eyes when they hear how simple some of these are, but we're
Yeah.
talking about things that actually last. And so often they are very simple. But choosing that rhythm is something like lighting a candle when you have dinner, even if you're having spaghetti again, or maybe you do Friday pancakes, or you do a special Sunday breakfast, whatever it is that you stick to it. You've chosen something that works, that's fully within your control. Doesn't matter who's there. You can light a candle, pancakes on Friday, special breakfast on Sunday. This next one, too, is shrink until it's doable. And we'll go back and tell you exactly which episode, but we talked about the power of small and tiny habits. Predictability dies when we aim too high and too big. So start with something that is small. We're not perhaps talking about an entire afternoon off, but like the candle, deciding what you're going to have for dinner every Friday night. Start with something that is really, really small and easy to execute.
Yes. Number 3 is name it. Give these pockets of your time an identity. Family breakfast reset or Friday light hour. Naming makes it visible and it also brings in the joy and fun. And the visibility fuels follow through. I know my kids are really good at keeping me following through with things that I've started. They're like, what about this thing that you started? It's Friday. Why aren't we doing pizza?
Exactly. Everybody's heard of Taco Tuesday, right?
Yes. Yes.
In our house, because our kids go to school late on Wednesdays, we have more time Wednesday morning, and so we have Waffle Wednesday. But I agree, naming it really makes it important, and it kind of cements it in everybody's mind that that is just what happens on this day at this time.
Yeah. And I don't know about your kids in college, but I remember going to college and being like, oh, it's this time. This is what I do. And I'm going to have to adjust to figure out how I do that by myself in my dorm room with my roommates.
Yeah.
And so it's, a lovely way to just really start and continue on family tradition. Okay, let's talk about number 4.
Yep.
Protect it like a boundary. Even if your partner gets called in, the pocket still happens or that practice still happens. The message is our family's peace doesn't depend on that call or the pager.
I know. Say that again.
Yeah. The message is our family's peace does not depend on the call schedule.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the whole autonomy discussion is that when we give our autonomy over to the pager or the call schedule, we no longer have it. And so, again, this is about holding on to what we actually have control of. That's where the magic is. And then you start to feel like life isn't something that is just happening to you. It's something that you're creating and something that you're shaping, even inside of what are considered really hard limits or constraints that you and your family have at that stage in time.
Yeah, that's really the magic.
So here's another suggestion. Again, maybe we'll compile all of these that we've rattled off into like one sheet and you can like pick or choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I love that.
But another idea is creating like a Sunday night switch off. And this is a practice where you would turn off your notifications, make yourself something warm to drink. We're coming into the fall and winter seasons. And so hot chocolate is going to be making an appearance at my house a lot more. And I'm very excited about that. And then also, because it's getting darker earlier, there's an opportunity to dim lights or to light candles, that you can create something that becomes a symbol that the week can start from calm, not chaos, or whether or not you begin your week on Sunday or Monday or Sunday is the ending of the week. However you look at it, it's either celebrating the week or starting a new one. But just some type of ritual that you can do that is easy, that takes 10 minutes or less, but that just reminds you that this is for me, that I am creating this for myself. I'm creating this for my family.
Thinking about my Sunday night last night with my family. And it was before we were going to watch a family movie, but I'm
Mm.
so good at getting into drill sergeant mode. Like, we are cleaning,
Yeah.
everyone get to work. That is the ritual that I have set. And it's really stressful for everyone. I don't like how I feel doing it. None of my children are happy. My husband had just stepped out for a meeting. And so this is a really good reminder for me. There can be a way to make rituals that are calming, that lead us into Monday or the beginning of whatever the next phase is, well and happily, and nothing that has to be stressed, even if you are alone and solo.
Yeah, I love that because whether you realize it or not, everybody has rituals. And so what you just identified is that I have this ritual that I don't even like,
Yeah.
that's not serving me well. And yet here we are again. This is what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
I was just reminded of something that I was reading. It was a rough morning. And I got up way too early and didn't want to be up. So I was reading something and she was talking about one of the things that she does for her family to create choice for them rather than saying, do this or do this and this is your job, is that she divides tasks. Let's say it's the kitchen after dinner and everyone needs to help clean up. She kind of divides it into 3 sections and says, okay, first come, first serve. Whoever gets there first gets to pick whatever their section is. Maybe it's a part of the dishwasher to be unloaded or a part of the counter to clean. But by reinforcing autonomy, our children love being able to exercise their choices and to see that they have a choice. And we really aren't any different. And I know a lot of times in this medical life, it can feel like your choices are all being made for you, that there are limited choices. But where we can, we need to practice that
Yeah.
autonomy and use our agency to create these moments. They don't take a lot of energy, they don't take a lot of time. In most cases, they're free. Anybody can do them. But just like Katie, recognizing what routines you already have that you're not really happy with, and then creating ones that actually support you and put you back in charge.
Yeah, and I think we talked about naming it, but I would also say make it visible, especially for my
Mm,
cohort of children. I think they're surrounded by invisible labor and or invisible
yeah.
tasks, and they're like, I don't understand, Mom. Like these just come out of your head, which is kind of true. Even my spouse is like, okay, I think you're just making things up for us to do.
You just made that
And
up.
but making it visible so that everyone can tell, everyone knows the system that's going on in your household.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is the challenge this week. Pick one small rhythm that feels nourishing and realistic for you and your family, and ask yourself, what's something that would help me feel grounded, and what would it take to protect that?
Love those questions. And if you want or need a little help, we've made a free download. You can find it in the show notes or subscribe to our office hours. You can do that at supportingphysicianspouses.com.
Next week, we'll talk about how to move from bracing to anchoring, using a simple mindset shift that changes how you experience unpredictability in your life.
Until then, friends, you can follow us on Instagram at Supporting Physician Spouses, or you are always welcome to email us with thoughts, suggestions, or comments at hello@supportingphysicianspouses.com. And as always, we would love for you to review and rate the podcast. Every time you do, it makes it easier for somebody else to find us and know that this is a podcast worth listening to. So thank you so much for your time today and have a great week.
Thank you so much for being here, and remember to protect your time.
Bye.